Today we're back in Burnley. Going to be doing 2 videos today. First one, we're going to be having a look at Queen Street Mill. So we'll have a look around, possibly see the looms working, get some history on the place, and then second one, we're going to go for a little dig. So I'm just waiting for the afternoon sun to pass over a little bit, a little cool off. It's not as hot as yesterday, so we shouldn't have to wait too long. But yeah, there's the tower, there's the old mill pond. Let's get in. Right, so good news guys, we can film. Here's a little schematic of the mill. So you've got the weaving sheds, you've got the boiler house, which the boilers aren't running today, they're just waiting for the coal to arrive. You've got the flywheel, which runs all this machinery here, and then it's all belt driven from there on in. You've got the mill pond, we just walked past the chimney. And that's a view of Burnley, as it would have been back in the day. Just there you've got the train railway line on the arches. Very different, very different. This is where the Millennium car park is now, where that old church tower is. I think it was St Matthew's or St Stephen's. But yeah, it looks completely different now. And that was as it was back in the day. And then you've got like little bits of kids' rhymes, old mill rhymes. And then it's just there's an old loom over there actually, to be fair. A wrap wheel. So you can see the cotton here. And how it gets fed up. That would have turned. Look at that back there. Nesbit, Weight Walker, 42 Market Street, Manchester. So that would have been produced there. It gives you like a little diorama. I think these are more for the school parties. Growth of industry in Burnley. The landscape of the Pan and Lancashire has changed significantly. Cotton had overtaken wool production, and booming industrial towns were filled with new factories and powerful industrial machinery. (1894) Queen Street Mill. Queen Street Mill is built. You can just make out the mill and all the people going to the mill. Mill workers, little mill workers' cottages. Yeah, so you can see all the flywheels, which would have been belt driven from the machinery next door, and they're all down here. And there's another big one, just make it out in the corner there. It's got a cog, so that would have been like a gearbox, give you like a bit more drive, and that runs through into the weaving sheds. So we're just waiting for the tour to start. I'm not going to film the whole tour because I don't want to put it online and ruin it for people. If you want to come and watch it, you can do, but I'll try and get most of the aesthetic stuff, and we'll see in a bit.
Weave, because it wouldn't have been in the mill.
Right.
This is going back 17th century really. Wool.
So pre-mill.
Pre-mill. But it's just to give you an idea of the early looms before you see the later ones that are working.
Yeah. I think there's still one in Barrowford where they used to have it's like a small cottage almost.
Yes.
And the upstairs were hand mills.
That's right. There's some in the village here in Hounsdyke.
Oh, still some?
Oh yeah, if you just look around all the communities around here, they've usually got 3 stories.
Right.
And they're on the top story, for spinning in the weaving for more daylight.
So they get longer lighter. Yeah.
Yeah, just as these were put in, north facing for light for the weaving shed.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, thank you. Yeah. Yes, thank you.
So, this is our lovely 5th millennium loom. It's not a natural one because otherwise Philip would kill me for breathing on it, let alone touching it. So, it's just a basic principle of that, just the earlier model. We've got our warp coming through, and then our weft, which is left to right, which is this beautiful thing that will be used in a minute. So our warp comes through our heels. We've got odd and even, and they are controlled by the pedestals down here, as so. You've got to string each one through individually one by one. If you get it wrong, you have to start again. So it's imperative you don't do that because it's very time consuming.
Yeah, I bet.
As you can imagine, yeah. Sadly, if one of these threads do break, as can happen and has happened to us many a times, you have to figure out which thread on which side had broke and which heel it had gone through. Again, very time constraining. So by some miracle you get it through the heel without it snapping. You then have to get it through your reed, which is attached to your sleigh here. Now the reed I can't push my finger through, as you can probably tell. So they'd have used a tool of some sort, and my tool is not here, it's gone missing, someone's pinched it. But they would have used a small kind of metal wire, if you will, to hook the thread
That one
and
there.
pull it through.
On top of that barrel.
Yeah. You spotted it, see? Just hid it from me. So, get it through your reed, and then that's when you can start making your fabric. Catches on. Do ignore our naughty weaver who does that. Now, you can see from this fabric, there's a lot of mistakes going on throughout it. We've got thread pieces, we've got knots, we've got a bit of gap going on. Continuous human error, unfortunately. This piece is therefore not sellable. You can't sell this at all now, sadly. So it's a waste of time. As a weaver, you've got one of two choices. You either completely write it off, and just cut that bit off and start again, or you can have the very tedious process of going backwards and working backwards and undoing all your work. How much damage has been done, I suppose, and how far back you've got to go to fix it? A little piece of cloth, about this much, can take up to an hour. You'll see why. So you press it down, and you push your weft through. You've got to make sure it's balanced on the bottom thread, not underneath, and going through your top. You've got to push it as far as possible as you can. There we go. Make sure it's nice and tight, but don't break the thread, because that's another possibility. If you pull that weft too tight, it will break. Let go, slam it down, bit of a pull, definitely. But, again, a lot of things can go wrong. You can snag the thread, you can go the wrong way. Another thing that could happen is if you're not sending that weft the correct way, if you've not raised the correct heel to do it, you'll undo the work you've just done.
Yeah.
So, a way to figure out if you're on the correct one or not, if you've been away for a bit, is you take the thread and you just edge it up. And if it comes up really difficulty, like this one, then you're on the correct heel. If I do it on the opposite side though, and pull it up, it comes up really easily.
Yep.
So that means that's the incorrect heel. I don't want to send it through on that one. And that is what you do on this 5th millennium loom, just back and forth. Now, as you can see, I'm having a bit of trouble grabbing that weft, even on a cloth so small as this one. If the piece was longer, they'd more than likely have two people stood on either end sending the weft back and forth for them. Makes it a bit easier. That would have either been workers or it would have been children, probably. The person sat here.
There's some cardboard boxes in here, which have no connection at all with the history. But they're doing some tests on the boiler. So I think part of relighting includes using wood and cardboard.
Cardboard.
But this doesn't go back to the 1890s.
Wow, look at them. They're amazing.
Actually, if you want to get a better shot, if you go just round the corner, around there,
yeah, I can
above
see
the
them from
big
both
door,
ends. Brilliant.
you get a much better shot, yeah.
Just got to go around and have a look at this new doorway. Well, not new, but a wider panning shot. Wow, look at those. 20-foot Lancashire boilers. There's something special. Hoppers with a coal in. You can see that one's actually strapped down, made in Preston, like a bracing. They are something nice, them. So they were made by Tinker Shenton and Company Limited, boiler makers of Hyde, Manchester. Yeah.
Is this the starting up the boiler then? Well, we're going to store it in here for a while, of course. Well, it'll be here now.
Again, that's the heart of your mill. That's absolutely fantastic. What's the big bracing one, that one? The big metal Preston bracket.
Sorry?
What's the bracketing on the middle of that one?
Oh, behind you. Oh, he's there. This is the engineer.
Oh, right.
Peter.
Nice to meet you.
He's the best person to ask.
What's at the back, sorry?
So, halfway in the middle of this one, you've got some bracketing. The big cast iron bracketing that says
Oh, that's
Preston.
the steps, is that? With the writing Preston on the end?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the steps, because you can't stand on the boiler lagging, it's quite soft to get up to the main crown valve at the top there to open the steam valve.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then you've got what you call your low water valve behind that, and right at the back is where the steam comes out for the boring engine and the water pump in the cellar that feeds the boilers.
They're amazing, aren't they? Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I had managed to have a look for in Harford Mill, and they still had 4 in situ. They just dropped the engine out straight on top of them. Straight, never even tried to rescue. It still had all the original tiles on the walls and everything, all the glazed tiles from the Victorian times. Nothing, just dropped it straight down.
I presume the engine had been taken out anyway and scrapped, had it?
Yeah, the engine's completely gone. The boilers were quite rusty, but they were still beautiful, and they were intact. Everything, you had everything on them.
Yeah, the good boilers, they last, they do last forever, don't they? They're 100 years old.
Yeah. This was the first boiler. This would be the way that the boilerman would come in anyway. And the engine, yeah. The boilerman downstairs was on the highest wage because he had to be on duty 24 hours a day because the boilers had to be kept late all the time. The only time they were allowed to go out, or did go out, was 1 week in the summer, Wakes Week, when all the mills shut.
Yeah.
And by Wednesday, they'd finished work on Friday night, Friday evening. By Wednesday, the boilers were cool enough for the boilerman to go in, clean them all out.
Wow.
Then relight them, so that on Monday morning, they were ready to go.
So it takes like 72 hours to cool down.
It'd probably take a whole day to get it up. So you'd probably start warming it up probably the Thursday, Friday, when you clean them out, ready for full steam ahead. 7 o'clock Monday morning. The interesting thing is, just looking at the name piece, it was traditional for the first engineer of a new engine, or a new mill with a new engine, to name the engine after his wife, if he was married. And this engine was called Prudence, after the first engineer's wife.
Right.
However, quite a few people in the village here, and in the mill, the men particularly, lost their lives in the First World War. So we named it Peace.
Very apt.
Respect. I'd say it was built in Nelson. It would come in kit form.
Right.
By a traction engine and trailer, and built from the base upwards. And the red pipes you saw downstairs, this is the steam pipe. This is a high pressure cylinder. This is the first cylinder that the steam goes into, and works the piston inside there. Moves the actual piston itself. And then the steam circulates and comes into the low pressure, so it doesn't need as much steam, cylinder to give it that extra power in order for it to move.
That's fantastic. So clean, everything's just so clean, isn't it?
Yeah, well, of course, Peter, who just met, he's been here about a month, I think, yeah. And he and the engineer would move this car here. Well, so the flywheel is much bigger than that.
So that's straight from the machine.
Straight from the big flywheel it is, yeah, behind that wall.
Wow. So what's how many gears would it have had?
You've got one gear on in that direction, left to right, and then there's a smaller gearing from there right across here. It's right to the other end of the room.
You can control the speed of both, is it? Or is it?
It's controlled by the engineer.
Yeah.
So when they're all the looms are working, that's full. So that was his skill to start the spindles, and then as people were starting to put the looms on, making sure that he was keeping an eye on the boiler pressure, because it was using more boiler pressure as it was speeding up, and making sure that there was no disaster, too slow or too fast. Springs, and they were put on these frames, and then they were linked through here, a bit like when the Alan was showing the hand loom. They put through here, down through the rollers, and onto this beam here.
Wow.
And the beamer, usually a girl who just left school, quite young, who would go up there and she'd become a wheeler, would put on 4 or 5 of these.
Flipping heck.
And all she'd be doing, you won't be able to stop, is tying on, putting new yarn in, tying it to the one that's finished or if it's snapped, and making sure that beam is continuous, because that's going to become the warp.
Right.
That's not the shuttle cotton, it's the bit that Diana was pushing
Yeah.
with her hands.
Wow.
And they were nicknamed Nutics, actually a Lancashire slang for birds, because they're often underneath cotton. And what it does, it strengthens the cotton.
Yeah.
Now the cotton on a flying shuttle doesn't have to be as strong, believe it or not, as the beam that's you're pushing, that Diana was pushing between the shuttle, the warp. So up here in the tanks, 2 of these, side by side. I think these are the only 2 left in the world now. Was the mix of candle wax, animal fats. I'm just going to put
I'll just set this one up anyway. So, cotton goes on the bottom. The idea is that it winds a nice neat cone.
You need to have a human inside as well.
That's brilliant.
And then this is this came with the donation. So that was a piece of hardwood, and finish up with a shuttle.
Wow. So would they turn them on a lathe or made by hand?
Yes, these are on a.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. But you're talking about other industries working with cotton. So this was just a shuttle factory, in Blackburn.
Wow.
And you can see them there working on the lathes.
Well,
And
big,
in the foundry for the metal ends, which are needed to be very sharp.
Quite a lot of production goes into it then, aren't you?
Yeah.
A lot, like you say, a lot of different manufacturers
Indeed.
coming together.
The Dobby legs were also made by the Shuttles. Now the Dobby legs are the early form of computer, because the Dobbies are on top of the looms, this bit here, and depending on where you put the pegs, was a pattern.
Right.
It would tell the herds, you know, that Deanna was pressing on foot pedals.
Wow.
Put the shuttle through. It tells them when to move up, when to move down. There are several herds, and that gives them the different patterns of colours.
It's genius, really, isn't it? It's how it's produced.
Bainbridge, who started the computers at Manchester University, or Science and Technology it was then, he'd gone over. This is a dispatch area. The photograph here, not from Queen Street, but it gives you some idea. That's two big car horses and a load of finished yarn and boxes. Going down to
It's fantastic.
quality. They are the ones that are ready for cleaning. These are the ones that are being cleaned. Even the workbench is the original in situ.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a lovely bench.
Soaking in oil.
Quite nice.
Rose gold shut. Big dint in the top. Well used.
Full of oily hands and.
Exactly. Again, in the process of rebuilding. Again, 20th century.
So will this be like 50s, 60s or a bit later?
75.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't see it.
No, don't worry. No. French.
1975. Typical colour scheme as well, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
Browns and oranges.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the tapestry blue.
Wow.
That's what actually was the tapestry that was produced on one look for them that you've seen. There it is, Dobby at the top. So many different threads, different parts to it.
That's a real machine, that's massive.
You've got the drawing, then you've got the colour. That's pretty cool, that, and you know, stag in there. A lot of detail in there.
Bolton Abbey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hattersley. So is that a local machine as well, or is that?
That was donated. I don't know where it came from originally, but it was donated to when it came in the museum. It was British.
Love that smell. That oily smell. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
Yeah, great, isn't it? Just in a minute.
Thank you.
Again, the other rooms, the cloth is getting wider and wider. And
Yeah,
the hand
that's
loom, you have to touch both sides of the shuttle.
that's almost double the length of that one, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dear me. So this would have been a two-man operation, I suppose.
No, I mean, on these looms, they had 6.
Wow.
6, so probably have more than one. More than shuttle loom on wheels that fly through.
Dear me.
Okay. Before we start, where did the tapestry come from? The tapestry loom, you know where it came from originally? It's British. Is it? Okay. It's made by Great Britain. I think all of it. Here this one, it's got 4 loom that come from Australia. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah. But I can't.
Right, I know he's a piece of shit, guys. So you probably won't even hear me speaking now. Look at the size of it. That's enormous.
Isn't it? Now, that wasn't there. You spotted the fact that you worked out that wouldn't have been there. That's going to the front entrance. That wall wasn't there originally, so there were 900 looms in here.
Wow.
40 of them were here through this. They don't normally have a gap this wide, but they unfortunately did go to the scrap man. At some stage, nobody knows how or why. 900 looms, making a noise of that one in there that you've heard.
Yeah.
So the weavers did have hearing difficulties, but they learned very quickly to lip read.
That must be some clattering.
But a lot of clatter.
So you'd have heard that outside, definitely, for sure, yeah?
Yeah. There's now 308 looms.
Wow.
These here, the front, when the steam engine's running for open days, they are powered from the steam engine. So that's why we can still say that it's the last working steam mill in the world.
Yeah. Do any of these still run?
Yeah, three or four of these here run on demonstrations. You can notice also, excuse me, quite a few have got cloth on. It's used for films.
Oh, right.
I don't know if you saw the film The King's Speech.
I haven't, no.
That was filmed here. There was a documentary filmed on the Peterloo Massacre a few years ago. That was filmed here, and they get film crews from all over the world coming.
Peterloo in Manchester.
Yeah.
Is Piccadilly?
Petersfield.
Peter Street, yeah, sorry.
That's right. That's right.
They had is that the Manchester Dragoons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the workers rising up for franchise to vote. It wasn't a massacre, but it was a horrible thing to happen. But the name came from the fact that Peterloo came from Waterloo,
Yeah.
Battle of Waterloo, that had been a few years earlier. So yeah, this is as close as you can get now in the 21st century to a weaving shed.
So like I say, it's all local again, isn't it? Everything's made locally.
Absolutely, yeah. And then cogs, different size cogs for the looms.
Wow. And the old power switch. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. Had somebody came around a few weeks ago who had come. He was in a care home in Nitham St Anne.
It's on your way to Skipton on the back road from Winshire Bridge to Skipton.
Right.
You come through just before you get to Cowan. You come through a graveyard on your right hand side.
Yeah.
If you take an immediate left down the hill, you can see the church across the valley.
Oh, Cowan, yeah, that's further on in it, yeah.
And it's just in the bottom of the valley, it's like an old mill, industrial building. But yeah, there were 3 of them under blue tarps, but like I say, that was about 2 or 3 years ago. So whether they're there or not, or whether they've been scrapped.
Yeah, well, the trouble is that they're not worth anything scrapped, really. It's hard.
Right, so that's a tour all the way. We got to see much more than I did last time I came, and I didn't film it last time I came. But I've just picked up this. That's a print of the header picture that I've actually got on my YouTube channel. If you go on my actual profile, it's there. It's the banner pic. So I actually own a print now. It's quite nice, only £1. So yeah, it's open Wednesday to Sunday, 12 till 4. You do 3 tours a day, or you can do a free run where you basically walk around yourself. And it's really well worth it. It's the only spinning mill of its kind left in the UK. So it's one of those, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And I definitely will advocate you come and have a look at this one, because it's really interesting. They do give up a lot of time and volunteering efforts. You know, it's quite good. And top it all off, it's in my hometown of Burnley, so it's double bonus. Yeah, it's a really good little mill, and I suppose you will really enjoy it when you come. It's quite warm today as well, so make sure you wear light clothing if you come on a hot day, not like a hoodie like I'm wearing. And that's it for me. I'll see you in a bit.